2013 was a great year for video games, one of the best we've seen in a long time, so I decided to make a list of my 10 favourite games from the year. That being said, let's get started. Guacamelee is a very enjoyable action platformer with a lot of Metroid-like elements. Its combat system is one of the best I've seen in a side-scroller, allowing you to pull off some pretty sweet combos with relative ease. I also really liked the Mexican aesthetic, as it's something you don't often see in games. The art style was also very cool, reminiscent of Samurai Jack. I did however find parts of the game, especially towards the end, to be a tad too frustrating for my liking, hence it being at number 10. I really enjoyed Saints Row 4 for what it was, a silly over-the-top superhero game with a story about an alien invasion. The characters were likeable, my favourite being the President, Cockney version. There were a lot of funny parodies and the way they used music and scripted sequences was masterful. The powers they introduced managed to spice up the series formula, making traversing the world and going on rampages much more fun. However, like other Saints Row games, I still felt it's lacking in a lot of areas, mostly the combat, although the powers do improve it somewhat. Tomb Raider is what all action-adventure games should strive to be. It had an entertaining story, it made me care about Lara Croft as a character, it was fucking gorgeous, and above all else, it played really well, with great gunplay and a lot of exploration. It had some problems with ludonarrative dissonance, where the story makes Lara seem very vulnerable, but in gameplay she's a stone cold killer, and it had a few issues with pacing, as it started to drag towards the end. But overall, it was an incredibly well crafted, well designed game that I highly recommend. Papers, Please has no right being as good as it is. It's a game about checking people's papers and deciding whether to let them pass the border or not. It sounds dull, but it's actually brilliant. There's a ton of difficult decisions you have to make regarding who you let through, but for every wrong decision you make, you can potentially lose money you need to support yourself and your family. In my case, everyone in my family died except the wife. You've also got to decide between being thorough or being quick. If you're not thorough enough, you'll let the wrong people in and lose money. If you're not quick enough, you won't earn enough money to begin with. They also change what papers are needed every day, so the gameplay never gets monotonous. Papers, Please is an endlessly complex game that is completely unique.
Desert? Out by Alamo Sea?
Alright, well, I'll hit you if I find anything.
Absolutely. Oh, hey. Trevor's got his wife.
Trevor's got a wife.
No, the Mexican's wife.
What? Shit, I don't know what to say about that one.
GTA 5 is the best GTA since San Andreas. I had a hell of a good time playing through its story. It had much more of a sense of humour to it than 4 did. I loved all the central characters, especially Trevor. Not sure what that says about me. The gunplay and the driving was much improved on, and I was very happy that they brought back planes. Overall, I'd say it's the best sandbox Rockstar has ever made, as well as the biggest. The only major gripe I have with the game is how you lose your wanted level, as it seems to value hiding over losing them in a car chase, which is much more fun. But yes, GTA 5 is a fantastic open world game, no doubt about it. Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons is the journey of 2013. It tells a remarkable story without any dialogue. Its visuals are stunning and it has a strong emotional impact on the player. But let's talk about how it differentiates itself from Journey. For one, it's a single player only game. Although it may not be apparent from the footage, you control both brothers with each analog stick, which is quite finicky, but it works well once you're used to it. This game is also a lot less obtuse in its narrative than Journey is. You know what you're doing and why you're doing it, even though it's not expressly told to you. Mechanically, there's a lot more going on. You solve puzzles, do platforming, there's even side quests and bosses. Brothers manages to be an emotionally impactful story as well as an engrossing game, and that's why I love it. Gunpoint is a stealth hacking side-scroller with a film noir plot. If anything I just said appeals to you, I urge you to buy this game. The hacking mechanics are very simple. All you have to do is drag a line between a switch, of which there are many variants, and an activatable object, like a light or a door. You use these simple mechanics to stealth your way through buildings to complete various objectives. I like the hacking in this game so much because it manages to be easy to use but also incredibly deep, as it allows you to complete your objectives in various ways. Aside from its great gameplay, there's also a very entertaining story with a healthy dose of humour, great music and some of the sleekest visuals around. Gunpoint is the whole package at a very affordable price.
Self-defense, right?
I said Tomb Raider was what all action adventure games should strive to be, while Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance is what all action games should strive to be. Platinum really outdid themselves with this spectacle fighter. I enjoyed Bayonetta a decent amount, but this just blew it out of the water for me. The combat system is my favourite of any action game. I love the parries, it just feels so great when you successfully execute one. It's much more satisfying than any dodge or bluff has ever been. The game also has a mechanic called Blade Mode, where you can slow down time and cut enemies into pieces. It's rather violent and extremely awesome. This game has superb boss battles. They're fast paced and require you to be good at the game, rather than just learning a pattern. Possibly my favourite thing about the boss battles is the music that goes with them, because it actually has vocals, which may sound distracting, but it really makes the fights more intense. Other than the combat, which if you haven't gleaned by now, I really love, the story is excellent and schizophrenic, so bad it's good kind of way. The environments are nice enough, if a tad sterile, as is the way with Platinum games, but the character designs are incredible. I really liked that this game had very little bullshit. It was all combat all the time, no platforming or puzzles like in other games of its genre. There were some optional stealth bits, but I ignored them to get more combat. Yeah, so to conclude, I really liked this game, it is good. As a game, Bioshock Infinite is merely okay, but as an experience, I'd say it's top notch. I'll address the negatives first. The combat is merely okay, the guns feel fine and your vigors are still fun to use, especially the Undertow one, which can be used to throw people off Columbia. But some of the enemies are a bit bullet spongy, and I think a lot of the encounters are a tad too long. Honestly, I think the combat would have been fine if there were just less enemies, but they made each individual more of a threat. Which would also remove the problem of the gameplay getting in the way of the plot, because your main character is mowing down tons of innocent people. A problem I don't personally have with the game, because the people you're fighting are essentially crazy cultist Nazis. But enough of being on the defensive. I love this game. It's a beautiful game and a beautiful setting, full of beautiful moments. The story is hugely complex, and had me thinking about it for days after I'd finished the game. The characters were excellent. I love Elizabeth. She's one of the few companion characters you actually care about. I really rooted for her throughout the story. She really is the main character of the game, more so than Booker. Hers and Booker's relationship was very well done, as they had an element of mistrust, but they also relied on each other. I have to commend their voice actors, Courtney Draper and Troy Baker. Columbia has a fantastic atmosphere, ranging from heavenly to chaotic, and its history and lore is deep and interesting. Sadly, some people might not be able to get past this game's many flaws, but those that can will have a truly wonderful time.
Of course it does. Where in the hell are we gonna find that?
Look! Come see the future of power at the Hall of Heroes.
Huh. Well, that's convenient.
Gentlemen, the false shepherd is loose in the streets of our fair city. Will you suffer the shame of allowing your wives and your daughters to fall prey to his machinations?
While this may be the obvious pick, it doesn't mean it's not the right one. Everything The Last of Us does, it does right. The story is simple. You have to escort a girl across a post-apocalyptic infected America. This may not sound that great, but like most good stories, it's the characters that make it. Joel and Ellie are both fantastic characters with an interesting relationship. You really do care about them by the end of the game. Side note, the game's ending is absolutely perfect. The story is also really well told, mostly in gameplay with not too many cutscenes. The gameplay matches the story in terms of quality as well as themes. It's a mishmash of survival horror, stealth and third-person shooting. The survival elements work well, giving you very little ammo and forcing you to scrounge for resources in order to craft items like health kits, shivs and petrol bombs. The story is all about survival, so it's nice that they tied this in with the mechanics. The horror elements solely come from the infected, who are rather scary, especially the clickers. Stealth is integrated nicely into the game. You mostly use cover to stay out of enemies' line of sight. It's quite often the best way of getting through an area, as you might not have many bullets. The gunplay also ties nicely in with the story. See, Joe was a normal guy before the apocalypse, so while he's efficient with a gun, he's no James Bond. This is reflected by a lot of swaying and recoil while using guns. I've yet to talk about the visuals, and what can I say that's not already being illustrated by the footage you're watching now. It's fucking gorgeous, probably the best looking game I've ever played. The environments are incredibly detailed and the character animations are flawless. There's plenty more I could say about The Last of Us, but most of it's already been said, and at this point I'm just gushing. So to conclude, anyone who likes video games should play this, as it's truly one of the greats. If you want to see more content like this, but less shit, then hit subscribe. And if you didn't think this was shit, then click that like button if you want.